webinar today, which is talking about vision, purpose and values. I'm Pamela Phillips and I'm your host today, and I'm joined by Sally Day from Saltoria Marketing. To introduce myself, I'm the co-founder of Young Phillips, which is a growing tech-focused accountancy practice. We work with agencies, helping them to scale up profitably. I founded Young Phillips with my dad back in 2015, and he's now retired, and I still run the business with the same kind of forward-thinking approach that's attracted a large number of ambitious agencies to work with us. This has helped us develop a unique insight into the particular challenges of the agency journey and how we can support agency owners through that journey. I'm really proud that we won Accounting Excellence Small Firm Award, Small Firm of the Year award last year, as well as being finalists in a number of other accounting and digital awards as well. So I'll hand you over to Sally, and Sally, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. There are some great achievements. We haven't quite had as many awards. So
you're a lot newer. Your business is a lot newer.
Still very new, yes. So I'm the co-founder and director of Saltoria Marketing, and my business partner is Victoria, who's my best friend and old colleague. And we founded Saltoria Marketing in spring 2020. So as many people know, lots of people got made redundant at the height of the pandemic, and we started our own business, which is very exciting. I have about 15 years of marketing experience, so I can call myself an expert now, which is hard to say, but I am. And I have a couple of Chartered Institute of Marketing qualifications. The latest one I have is their Marketing Leadership Programme, which is their highest qualification, which is equivalent to a master's in marketing. Currently, I work with many small businesses, including the John Phillips. So we have a very unique relationship where they do our accounting and we do their marketing. So it's a beautiful reciprocal relationship. What our offer is, we're basically your virtual marketing team. So we work as your colleagues, your in-house marketing team, but we're outsourced basically, and we're virtual. What I particularly love is I love working with clients in terms of their brand identity and their messaging, and really helping them scope that out and kind of learn more about their personality and how they can externally kind of celebrate that. So that's why I'm coming in today, to talk about all those things that, you know, relate back to brand. So yeah, there we go.
Thank you very much, Sally. So just as a bit of admin, we'd love for this session to be as interactive as possible. So if you've got any questions, as they come to mind, just pop them in the Q&A box and we'll try and answer them as we go. I'm kind of going to moderate and host at the same time, so I'll every now and then just check. And if you do need to leave the meeting, you can always rejoin at any time just using the link. Yes. So to start with, there's a Peter Drucker quote, which is that culture eats strategy for breakfast. No matter how great your strategy is, if you don't have the right culture in your workplace, you simply won't get great results. Today's webinar is about the 3 most influential drivers of a positive culture. So these are your vision, your purpose, and your core values. We'll quickly overview the 3 cornerstones of culture. Then we'll delve into how you develop your vision, purpose, and core values before talking about practical ways you can bring your culture to life. So the first cornerstone of culture is your vision. According to research published in the Harvard Business Review, which evaluated tens of thousands of people around the world, effectively enlisting the hearts and minds of your organisation in a shared vision differentiates leaders from non-leaders. So in short, companies without an effective strategic vision struggle to provide a meaningful context for their goals and strategies and implementation plans. So why is it so important to have a clear vision? If you don't know what you want your future business to actually look and feel like, then each day you're making decisions without knowing if they'll take you where you want to go. And that's not particularly strategic, and it makes it hard to make good decisions. Once you're clear on your vision, it's far easier to make the right choices. You can filter out options easily when you know they don't fit with your vision. And the same goes for the team. They know what to focus their attention and energy on, and what they can choose to ignore. And it also helps with objective setting. Your team's goals, training, and development can all be tied to your vision of where you want to be as a business. So basically, having clear vision means making good decisions faster, and that's the key to growing your business. And it's also important from a marketing perspective. So Sally, do you want to tell us a bit more about why that is?
Yes, totally. This is where I can get really excited and talk for ages, so I'll try and keep it succinct. But yeah, your vision is so important as part of your brand identity. So for starters, it helps you define your audience. So who are like-minded people that agree with your vision? You know, that's a nice simple thing to think about. But it also tells your audience what you actually want to accomplish. So what's your future plans? What's your actual objective as a business? And then that will help them resonate more with you as a brand, which is, great and really powerful. And it's generally just really, really useful for your brand identity. So making sure your vision is very externally kind of within your brand and it's externally celebrated, it's really good to enhance the originality of your brand. Yes. So the next bit I think I'm going to talk about, what makes a good vision statement. So this is something we've worked with in Saltoria Marketing with a lot of businesses, especially at the early start of their kind of growth career in terms of their business. And it is tricky to think through what your vision is because it has to be very powerful and timeless, but also relevant. So here's a few points just to kind of give you a bit of criteria. So we always say present tense is very important. So that makes it feel very immediate and now and relevant for what we're doing today and tomorrow. It also needs to be very powerful and memorable phrase, which sounds very easy, but it's something very short and succinct that someone can remember easily. It doesn't have to be kind of beautiful poetry, but something that's kind of just good for the mind and will help you remember. It's very good to think about what it's describing the best outcome. So whilst you want to be ambitious and realistic, it also you need to think about the best outcome for the business and your customers. Also, it's important to think about unambiguous language and speaking in a plain English way. So you need it to not be kind of, maybe certain people might be able to look at it differently. It needs to not be like that. It needs to be completely, kind of unambiguous. People need to look at it and get the same meaning from it. Plain English is always a good approach generally in business, just to make sure you're very clear for everyone in being inclusive and supportive of international audiences as well. It's also good to think about how you evoke emotion, which is sometimes hard in certain industries and certain areas, but think about the benefits of what you're doing as a business and how you help solve the problem for a person and how you help bring usefulness and delight to someone's life. There is emotion in there. And finally, as I just said, it's really important to think about building the same picture in people's minds. So a timeless, unambiguous phrase is very important. So now we're going to share some examples. So Pam's going to bring to life some examples from mainstream media. Here you go.
Yeah, so here are some examples of great vision statements from brands you might recognise. So Zero's vision is to exist to make life better for people in small business, their advisors and communities around the world by making it seamless, simpler and smarter. Rise at 7, they want to push boundaries in the technical and creative directions and lead the charge for creative-minded search marketing. And then Apple is to make the best products on earth and to leave the world better than we found it.
Yeah, Apple's is good. They came up with a good one there.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it's pretty strong, pretty bold. And then we thought we'd share our visions for our companies, just kind of show these aren't just things for big businesses. Ours at Young Phillips is to help agencies be more profitable and scale faster. So that means we only work with agency clients and only with those who have ambitions to grow. And by getting clear on our vision, we've been able to focus on marketing to attract the best clients and best team members for our business. And it's made it easier to make day-to-day decisions because we know the direction we want to head in. Sally, do you want to tell us about your vision at Saltoria?
Yes, looking at mine now, I feel like ours should be a little bit shorter. I need to do what I preach. But yes, ours is to create a virtual and agile team of skilled marketing professionals to support small to medium businesses and charities in achieving their objectives. So essentially, we're trying to build a nice big virtual hybrid team of marketing professionals, hopefully internationally, to come together to bring the best results to their businesses so that they can get marketing in an accessible and affordable way. Yeah. Yes, there we go.
And that's actually really interesting when you say that you need to condense yours down and practice what you preach. I think it's really important. I think it's really important to kind of to know that these don't have to be perfect, but going through the thought process and creating it is the important thing. And these don't have to be perfect and they can change, but it's the important thing is doing that thinking.
Yes, that's a good reminder. Absolutely.
I've just seen a question in the Q&A. What is the difference between a vision and a mission? Sally, is this something you can help with?
Yes, I can help with. So yeah, this is something I can definitely see why that's hard to define sometimes. And sometimes I do have to double check when I'm explaining this. It is very different now. So your vision is basically what you want to accomplish. So here we've got here, you know, personally for Saltoria Marketing, we want to accomplish, you know, creating a wider network of skilled professionals. Whereas your mission is what you are doing to achieve your vision and for whom. So every day, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing to actually get there and who's your audience? So, for example, I think if I just say our mission, just to make it clear, Saltoria's mission is supporting and inspiring organisations in acquiring and retaining customers through simple, effective, affordable marketing tactics. So we're saying, you know, who we want to reach out to, so organisations, and we're saying we want to inspire them and support them with marketing tactics that are affordable and effective. So again, that may be a little bit too long, but it's very direct in terms of, you know, we're trying to reach this certain people, and this is what we're doing to achieve our vision.
Okay.
So if you're struggling, I say look at lots of different mainstream examples like we've done. But yeah, there's a subtle difference. Your mission is what you're doing to achieve your vision and for whom.
Yeah, okay.
I hope that helps the person who asked that question.
Thank you, Sally. So the second cornerstone of your culture is your purpose. Your purpose is why your business exists for your customers, ideally summarised in 1 or 2 sentences, or simply put, it's your why. Of course, your business exists to make a profit, but this isn't your purpose. Your purpose is your reason for being. It's not a goal or a business strategy. It's extremely important because, as Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Most businesses first describe what it is they do, followed by how they do it, and they often fail to talk about why the business exists for its customers. It's important to communicate this from the inside out, building an emotional connection with customers. So Sally, can you talk to us a bit more about how to actually do this? Yes,
totally. And the emotional connection is very important, by the way. I think that's a really good, valid point. And we talked about that a little bit before as well. I would say in terms of practically creating your purpose, try and think of it as like 1 to 2 sentences, you know, maximum. So this needs to be short and sweet and something that you feel like you can remember and kind of talk about. And it basically needs to define why you exist for your customers. So very simply put, you know, why you're here, what's the purpose of what you do. When you have the clear purpose, basically it's really good to get your team involved and make sure they understand and make sure they're on board with it, and it's really easy for them to kind of talk about and understand, but also your customers, and that will just help everyone, external, internal, align their thinking and help in terms of like reaching future goals and developments for the company. Yeah, there we go. So I think the next bit we're going to expand on that as well. Yeah, so we can talk a bit more about what makes a good purpose. So these are 5 points that are by author Jim Collins. And his 5 points are: it must be inspiring to your whole team. So everyone in your team should not only know your purpose, they should believe in it. The second is it must be as valid in 100 years as it is now. So this means it needs to be broad enough to capture what you do, but not specific to your products and services. It should help you consider what you could be doing but aren't. So what products or services could you offer, which will help you live into your purpose while staying relevant to what your customers want. It should help you decide what not to do. Are your new products or service ideas relevant to your purpose? If not, should you really start them? This is a great way to start developing your niche. And it should be truly authentic to your business. You can't copy someone else's purpose, and you can't make one up thinking it's what your customers want to hear. You must really live into your purpose. So we've got some examples of some purpose statements from, again, brands that you recognize. People might be familiar with the first one. I'm sure Netflix has been everyone's favourite brands throughout the pandemic. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, Netflix, their purpose is to entertain the world. Zoom's is to make video communication less frictionless and secure. Nike's is to bring innovation and inspiration to every athlete in the world. And by the way, they define an athlete as someone just having a body. We're all athletes.
All athletes, absolutely. Creolas is encouraging children to be creative and enabling parents to inspire them. Doves is discovering the value of real beauty and improving self-esteem worldwide. And Innocence is promoting sustainability and community. And you can see how these would be inspiring to their team and will be valid in 100 years, helps them think about what they could be doing and helps them decide what not to do and are truly authentic to their business. If anyone has any other favourites, they want to share their own, then let us know in the Q&A.
I really like Creators. I think that's really lovely. It's very wholesome, isn't it? It's really good.
Yeah, it is. And it stands the test of time as well. That'll be as relevant as years.
Yeah, totally. And Doves is really good. They do have some very good campaigns about self-esteem at the moment.
Yeah. We thought we'd share our purpose, again, to show how it's relevant to small businesses as well. So our purpose at Young Phillips is to help agencies survive and thrive through providing next level accountancy support and accountability that's usually only available for big business. So this means that everything we do is focused on being the best finance function for agencies. And that's really helped us make decisions and stay focused on what's important to us. For example, anything that a best-in-class in-house finance team would be doing is something that we would want to be doing for our clients. So, for example, as soon as the tech was available, we launched a service where we can make payments on behalf of our clients. We just knew that was absolutely something we should be doing. Our whole team know and understand our clients' challenges, so they're able to support them really well. And because we focused our marketing on agencies, we're attracting exactly the type of clients that we want to work with. Sally, do you want to talk us through the purpose statement for Saltoria?
Yes, it's interesting when we look at ours together. There is quite a lot of parallels in the sense that we do want to support organisations to have the, to be able to enjoy a marketing team at an affordable cost, but in terms of like making it accessible for them. So we believe that even the smallest charities and companies should have the same marketing opportunities as larger organisations, which I think is similar to you guys in the sense that, even if you can't afford a whole finance team, you should still be able to get the same opportunities. And I think that's really important in terms of marketing as well, because you might have an amazing product and service and we want to help you, kind of get it out there, even if you can't afford a massive marketing team.
Yeah.
So, there we go.
Okay, so that's the first two cornerstones of a strong culture. The next one is your core values. So these are timeless guiding principles that speak from the heart of your business. Your core values are almost like a set of fundamental rules of engagement for you, for your team and for your customers. So Sally, do you want to just tell us a bit more about core values?
Yes, of course. Yes, I get very passionate about core values. It's one of my main things I get excited about. So your core values really, really are, that basically your beliefs, philosophies and principles that drive your business. So this is really what makes you passionate, maybe what winds you up, what really gets you up in the morning. So it really needs to be intertwined into your core values. They're very important because they impact the employee experience, which is essential, especially nowadays. And this will help, the relationship develop between your employees and the company, but also it helps you develop relationships with customers, partners and shareholders. So it's really good that you're kind of demonstrating your core values through everything you do, whether that's like written, verbal, and your brand kind of external channels. It's really important that that's kind of consistent. Yes, so your core values represent your brand promise for as long as you choose for it to exist. So this goes back to it being timeless and making sure it relates back to your genuine ambitions. And they are a promise that you must get right. So this is where we need to remember to be realistic and making sure you're not trying to be too far-fetched and kind of ambitious. It's better to be more genuine and down to earth and know that you're going to be able to kind of, actually, achieve those values. Oh, someone just said, how many values should you have? Thank you. That's a very good question. I would personally say not more than like five or six. Probably 4 or 5 is ideal. Clearly you can have loads. Like when we brainstorm values of clients, and I'm sure Pam does as well with clients, you could easily have like 10, but it's really good to try to consolidate them just so that it's short and concise and memorable, and easy for everyone to kind of demonstrate across the business. We'll show you ours shortly, so you'll be able to see. I think we both have about 5, which is hopefully the right number. So yes, I think it's just really good to remember they need to be achievable and realistic and also representative of your brand. So, you know, there's a lot of big things happening at the moment that are very important to society, like things like Black Lives Matters, and, you know, big things that are happening in our world that we personally probably feel very passionate about. But that doesn't mean your brand has to have that intertwined into your core values. You know, it has to be representative of your brand, and it has to align with where your brand's going. So maybe it's, I don't know, I would suggest it's good to think about your personal values at the same time, but also you can have separate personal values to your company values.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Why are your core values so important? So your core values are really important because they're enduring fixed beliefs and they're at the heart of your business identity. So this comes back to the brand identity, where it needs to be about consistency, but also, yeah, celebrating who you are and what makes you unique is a really big part of brand identity. They also help with recruitment. So I think this is a thing that lots of people maybe don't think about, but I think increasingly, especially with new generations, people are drawn to meaningful businesses and businesses that align with their core values. So it's really important that you kind of externally promote these, because you'll get the right people working for you. And I'm sure to John Phillips, Pam, you can say that probably helps you get the right kind of new colleagues to your team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is really good, but also it helps you choose appropriate clients. So I think, I don't know, with Saltoria marketing, we have increasingly, as we get more comfortable, we're learning to kind of choose clients that align with our values, so that we feel passionate and that we feel like we can work together with them in the most successful way. Mm-hmm. It also helps you set the tone of how you want to work, which again kind of ties into what we've just said there with employees and clients. And it will help you engage with your team. So it helps everything become a bit more genuine, authentic, and, you know, really adding that personality to what you do. So you're not just functional and just being practical. It sets a framework for how you continuously communicate with your company. So again, it's really good to have that structure to kind of enhance that personality. And I think personally, I think we probably all agree they're really good for decision making. So if you're unsure whether something aligns with what you're doing, again, maybe going back to some of the examples in the media, you know, is that something that we should be talking about? Should we be part of that conversation? It's a really good way to like double check, does that align with what we're doing and our brand values? Yeah. So it's a good way to kind of filter. I think I thought we had another question. We don't. Please do ask questions throughout. If you want to interrupt us, we're happily interrupted.
Yeah, so I'd agree with Sally. I think one of the real huge benefits of understanding your core values is that they become decision-making filters for you. So if a possible decision doesn't align with your values, consider other ones which do. There's been actually a lot of studies that have shown that core values are a key driver of team engagement. So like specific, like practical benefits of having clear core values include less sick leave, less staff turnover, so less time recruiting, less rework, better communication, better innovation, higher productivity, and more profitable businesses. So the next question is, how do you go about working out what your core values are?
We just had another quick question, which I'll quickly talk about before you start. Someone's asked, should you showcase your vision, purpose, values to customers? I would always say yes. And I think that's really, really important. You're talking the same language internally and externally. It just makes sense for consistency and just being transparent. So make sure when you are writing them, they are, you know, relevant for external audience as well. This might be in your about section on your website, or maybe, you know, in certain parts of your marketing literature. But yeah, we think it's really important to showcase it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you've decided you're going to create some values, how do you tackle this? It can be difficult to know where to start. Here's a few tips. Firstly, set aside some uninterrupted time to do it. Like half a day is usually enough. This doesn't have to be a week-long exercise. It can be done relatively quickly. If you can, use an experienced facilitator to guide you through the process. And this will ensure that everyone's point of view is heard and no one dominates the outcome. And that's because it won't just be you as the owner doing this. You'll be, you know, ideally you'll involve your wider team. The brainstorming process that you go through should help you identify all the potential values, which you can then filter down to a list of around 5. Like Sally said, you can probably easily come up to 10, but it's narrowing it down to something memorable that's really important. And then take the time to define what each core value actually is, using, I don't know, 10 words, so a nice concise definition. And then ensure that the values mean something to you and your team and your clients. When we did this with John Phillips, we found it really helpful to think about also what we're not doing, and that helped us focus on what we are about.
Yeah, we found that really, really important as well. I think sometimes that's easy in life generally to think about the opposite of what you want, helps you define what you do want. Yeah. Yeah, I would also say, so I think what we've got here is about the points about thinking about what makes you passionate. It's very important. So what really, really gets you going and gets you excited, that's a really good way of kind of framing your values, and thinking about what your core beliefs are. You know, if someone said to you what's like one of your highest moral values or one of your main principles as a person, as a brand, I think that's a really good way of kind of framing your values. And we've said many times throughout this presentation, making sure they're realistic, which is hard because you want to be super ambitious and you want to be like, yeah, I'm going to be really, you know, kind of forward thinking, but they should still be something that you can realistically achieve and, you know, you don't feel too intimidated by.
Exactly. As we've done with vision and purpose, we'll talk you through our core values, or at least show these what our values are. John Phillips, I won't read through the long list, but these really do drive all our decisions and behaviours. So a couple I can talk about is we're relatable and collaborative, and this is strongly linked to us being part of our clients' team. We want our clients to enjoy working with us and to feel comfortable talking to us about their challenges and opportunities, and whether that's business or personal, because when you run your own business, they're often interlinked. And another of our values is to be the natural cheerleaders for our clients. We like encouraging our clients to think of new opportunities, and we guide them through that journey.
Yes, I would add that you guys are very good natural cheerleaders. So we work with Ryan, who's a client manager for John Phillips, and he is really good at encouraging us to like step out of our comfort zone and kind of be more confident with what we're doing, which is really hard when you're starting out. It's all a bit scary, but he's very good at kind of warmly suggesting things and being like, yes, you can do this.
Oh, brilliant. So he's living into our values.
He is, yeah. He's very good at like the kind of natural cheekiness alongside very formal, you know, recommendations. So yes, it works out very well.
Do you want to tell us about Saltoria's core values?
Yes, yeah. So we have 5. So yeah, we did well with the 5. And our first one is very much about community building. So going back to what we said with our vision, making sure we're pulling in the best expertise from across our network to support small businesses and charities, and to making sure that they can get the best resources from us and our contacts. I'd also say pragmatism, which sounds quite simple, but a lot of people aren't pragmatic. I think especially in marketing, there's a lot of people talking in jargon and kind of technical terms that don't work for non-marketers. So we're very much about being plain English and talking in everyday language and making sure things are easy and, you know, effective, but also measurable. So what we're doing is meaningful and worthwhile. Inclusiveness is also very important. So again, that goes back to speaking kind of plain English language and making sure everything's easy for everyone. We want to also make it fun. So that goes into the empowerment. We want to coach our clients to be successful, but also enjoy what they're doing. I think a lot of business owners have a lot of stress and a lot of things to think about. So marketing can hopefully be the area where they can kind of celebrate what they're doing and enjoy the beauty of owning your own business. Yes. And collaboration, again, that's very, very important. It kind of ties back to the community. We want to share our skills and expertise. So we like to think we're very generous in terms of sharing information and sharing our skills. And we're not there to be like, you have to employ us continuously. We know that, you know, we're there for a certain period of time, and then probably the company will recruit a marketing manager or a marketing team. But we're there to kind of give them the stepping stones they can to get to that stage. So yeah, I don't know, Pam, do you think we do that well when we work with you guys?
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, so reflecting on obviously because we're a client of yours. So yeah, absolutely. I think like on the pragmatism side, absolutely, we've like got a clear marketing plan with tangible, practical things that we can do to improve our how visible we are and how we're perceived. And you're working like with many people in the team around like coaching us on to how to do our own marketing. So it is empowering. So yeah, definitely see that your brand value shining through in how you work with us.
Thank you. That's really good to hear. It's good we're both living to our values. We've done well.
Yeah, well done. So once you've defined your vision, your purpose and your core values, how do you bring your culture to life and ensure that they come across in everything that you do? So here's some simple but pretty effective ideas. Firstly, keep talking about them. Put them on your website, or put them on your website, use them in your marketing, revisit them regularly, not only to ensure that they're still 100% relevant, but so that new team members understand how they came about, and refresh the whole team on their importance. Recognise and reward team members when they live into the core values. Make them part of your new starter induction process. Talk about them when someone new joins so that they know just how important that they are. This is one of the first conversations you're having. Make them visible in your workplace. Some agencies paint them on their walls or have them printed on mugs. It's a bit different when you're working from home, and more people are now working remotely. So things like having them as your screensaver on your laptop so that they come back and sort of refresh. But I think really just make sure they're not something you create and file away and then, you know, dig out once a year just to check they're still there. They need to kind of be visible all the time.
Yes, I say little things are really important. So even if it's like just at the bottom of your email signature, or like on your letterheads or your kind of internal literature, those subtle little things will always be, you know, it's memorable in people's minds, and it kind of helps them, you know, go back to where, you know, the roots of the core values. It's really important. I'd also say it's very important to include everything in your brand guidelines. So making sure your vision, your purpose, your mission as well, and your values are included in your brand guidelines, because your brand is all those things. So we've helped a lot of businesses develop their brand values and also their brand guidelines almost retrospectively, just because it's a really good way to create a good framework for success for your business, but also your marketing. And it all just needs to be intertwined so that everything's consistent and, you know, everyone's kind of on board with where you're going. I'd also say it's really important to kind of train everyone on your brand guidelines, which includes all these things as well. So even if you're not a marketing person or you're not externally speaking to customers regularly, you're still kind of living and breathing these values, and it becomes part of your kind of everyday life. Because everyone, I would say everyone is, you know, celebrating them in some way, even if you're not contacting customers all the time. It's still very important. I would also say mixing your communication styles up. It's very, very important. So I've worked in many organisations where not everyone is desk-based, and there's a lot of people like practically in the field, and they might not even be near a computer at all. And, you know, you shouldn't just be sending emails to everyone. You need to think about other ways to engage people, you know, in different environments. So, you know, even being a bit retro and thinking about like old school notice board posts or like printed out things, or, you know, when possible, face-to-face conversations, making sure your managers are talking to people one-on-one as well as in groups. So giving people the opportunity to kind of feel secure if they want to share feedback, but also having a mix of styles and kind of mediums works just in terms of keeping it top of mind for everyone. You know, if you just get emails about one thing, it becomes a bit kind of, and, you know, you get a bit tired. So yeah, trying to think about like ways you can engage in different ways to engage people in a different style, but also keep the variety. Yeah. Also, yeah, I think in the hybrid world, it's a true challenge, but I think maybe asking your employees how they like to receive information. So is it just like a quick Zoom catch up at the start of the month, or do they prefer some literature? I think videos are really important at the moment. So even quick videos that you can record yourself, that might be easier to explain something than a long email. So just trying to think creatively and remembering you don't have to be like perfectly polished every time. You know, the message is the most important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I do think just when we just shared our values just then, when we kind of ask each other's opinions, that was really interesting to see. Obviously we're both each other's customers. I think it's really good to ask your customers as well. So, you know, where it feels natural, obviously, it's really nice to get their feedback and be like, you know, am I living into my values? Does this come across naturally? And just getting constructive feedback from people you trust is really, really valuable.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
next steps.
What are your next steps? My aim is to help you take what you've learned today and implement some positive change in your business. So what are your next steps from here? 1, make the choice to improve the culture of your business today by putting a line in the sand. You're taking the first positive step towards improving your results. If you've already got a vision, purpose and values, decide whether or not you need to review them. If you don't have these in place, then work out the best way to create them. Once you've developed them, ensure they're visible, that you're living into them, and that they're clear to you and your team and customers. So these are all the things you can do. Don't focus on the things that are out of your control. And of course, if you need help from us, we're here and want to help. So how can we help you? Well, firstly, everything in this webinar is general and definitely no substitute for specific tailored advice and support. There's several ways we can help you more specifically beyond today's webinar. Firstly, business planning is a fundamental framework for improving your culture, for clarified vision, purpose and values, through to planning and goal alignment with your team. We can also facilitate a core values development session with your team to help develop your unique core values. And if you're not quite sure the best way forward, we can have a complimentary meeting to discuss your unique situation. And you can do this by booking in a discovery call with one of the team.
Yes, and we can say that we did that and it's brilliant. So yes, I encourage you to make the most out of the complimentary call if you're unsure.
Yeah, thank you. So if you have any questions, pop them in the Q&A panel or send them through as a private chat. And just have a look, see if we've got any in here.
Yeah, it's, if you want to put them in the chat, it's easy as well.
Yeah.
I would say one of the main things that comes up is when thinking about values is, how much you need to think about the future as well, and thinking about how far in the future. I think it's good to just think generally kind of next 5-10 years, and then remember that you can revisit and you can go back to your values. I'm sure that many people came back to their values in the current climate, and many companies have had to kind of be really versatile and flexible. We kind of started our values within the kind of, this period of the pandemic, but I'm sure many companies have had to look at them again during this kind of turbulent time. I don't know if that's what you did recently, Pam, in terms of changing things due to the current climate.
I don't think our values haven't changed because of the pandemic, and neither have vision and purpose. So actually, we've been pretty clear on those for quite a long time. I guess how we deliver our services might have changed in some ways for some clients.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, the core
that's
values,
actually good. Yeah, that's really strong that you didn't have to change them. Actually, that's like kind of brilliant in itself that they were transcendent across the current climate. Yeah, and
I guess they didn't. It's not like the company was born and we had those set in stone. They've evolved, so we've had time for them to evolve. But yeah, they have been pretty fixed for quite a long time now. And we do look at them every year. We sit down and look at them as a management team, and
that's great.
Might tweak some of the wording. But actually, the core of the essence of them hasn't. It stayed the same. And I have got a question here. So. How can you get staff empowered by a new company direction?
That's interesting. Do you want me to suggest a few things?
Yeah, please.
I would say, depending on where you are in the kind of decision-making process, I would also try and get them involved with, what the decision is and like where you're going. So I think people are most empowered, when it's their idea or they feel like they're part of the process. So, doing things like focus groups or like short interviews or Q&A sessions and making it really easy for people to share their feedback and opinions just really helps people feel involved and like they're being listened to. People want to be listened to. And using that information like actually in reality is really good, because that will help shape something that your staff are behind and they really want to, kind of champion. There's loads of ways to do things, like I kind of said before, like thinking about mixture of formats and styles. So having a variety of different ways of getting people on board, I think, is really important as well.
Yeah.
Then if you want to add to that, Pam.
I think that would be the first thing that comes to my mind, is including your team in the process.
Yes.
Not having the answer already presented to them, or the solution or whatever the direction is presented, without engagement beforehand. So yeah, I would say that's really important.
I would say another thing as well is like consistency of message. So I know it's hard in big companies or even medium, small companies when you've got so much going on, you might be like, oh, here's an idea. And then you forget about talking about it for a couple of months. But I'd say it's better to be like drip feed, kind of little and often, keeping people updated and keeping the conversation going. Just consistency of kind of message is really important to keep people kind of on the journey.
Actually, I heard something interesting that it takes 6 times. You should give a message 6 times before it's really sunk in. So
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it might feel repetitive to you, but actually it's not repetitive.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think, you know, that's very important, especially with big news, like maybe you're transforming the business or growing. You know, sometimes that can make people worried, you know, like even though it's a positive thing, people can be like, oh, is this going to be changing too much for me, or is this a bit scary? So trying to be reassuring in that way as well, and like, you know, this is positive and this is an opportunity for everyone. I could talk about internal communication forever.
I've got another question as well here. How can you improve culture in these sort of challenging times, these slightly more uncertain times?
Oh wow, that's a big question, isn't it? Wow. I think again, we're talking about listening to the employee. So thinking about, you know, what they want, what works for them. I know a lot of my friends and kind of old colleagues said they have things like, you know, kind of team bonding nights on Zoom, or like things to kind of get people involved and trying to be inclusive of that as well. So not just having like wine tasting, thinking about what everyone needs, and, you know, not everyone wants to do that. And even little things like sending packages or sending little things for people to do. I think it's good to kind of remember everyone's a person and not just a worker and a robot. So helping people enjoy things as well, and, you know, kind of have a good time at work and create friendships at work, you know, I think that's a good thing. But yeah, culture is really hard. Like, I don't think there's a manual on how to improve culture. Like, I think it's really subtle and it can be really kind of a slow burning thing. But really getting people involved and being just like genuine in terms of how you want to listen to people. Don't know if Pam, if you want to add to that. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. I think they're all really practical things that you know are good, like good listening, good inclusivity is really important.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think actually going back to this webinar, like that, getting the framework in place, so really having a clear vision and purpose is really important, because then the people you're working with, if you all buy into it, you're already starting from a common ground. So it's really, really important too. So okay, so I think we're close to wrapping up the webinar. So before we go, I'd encourage you to make a simple plan today.
Oh, there we go, just on time. Well done.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Commit to at least 3 actions you'll take take away as a result of today's webinar. Write them down. Give each of them an owner and a completion date. And remember, if you need support, we're here. So thanks for attending. We appreciate that your time is really valuable. And yes, thank you for joining us. We hope we've given you plenty of ideas to ponder and some clear next steps. So thank you, and
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good day.